everybody. Welcome to Goose's Disney Pod. I am your host, Ray Goots, and we're here another week. We're here to talk about Force Awakens, one of my oldest friends in comedy, Vince August. Vince, how are you, buddy?
Ray Goots, how are you, pal? Good to see you, man. It's been too long.
I know it's been a minute. Background. I used to see Vince every Monday night on the New Talent show.
Yep.
And you would close it and you would bring down the house. People would come back just to see your set.
And Ray Goots, this is the great story. I don't even know if you're going to remember this in terms of how great it is to be a Star Wars nerd.
Okay.
So Ray was the manager at Caroline's, which is the biggest comedy club in New York City at the time. And after a show, to help clear out the room, Ray would blast music so everyone would get the hell out of there because the music was so loud. And one night, I don't know if you remember, you're blasting the soundtrack from the fight scene between Anakin and Obi-Wan from Revenge of the Sith.
Yes.
And I scream from across the room, you can't even see me. And I go, you were supposed to defeat the Sith, not join them. You were my brother, Anakin. And you don't even see me. And you yell back, but from my point of view, the Jedi are evil. And I was dying laughing. I'm like, how great is it to have another Star Wars nerd here?
Yeah, no, I would always play some weird music just so people would be like, what is going on? And they would leave. I remember the Joker theme from Dark Knight was good at getting people out because people don't remember that one. But yeah, you're right. And that's how I knew you were into Star Wars because you were super quoting that whole scene, the whole battle.
That was really funny, man.
Vince, how long have you been doing stand-up?
I started stand-up. This is going to be 25 years. This is going to be my 25-year anniversary. Yeah. I debuted at Caroline's.
Oh yeah, how'd you get started? Because I know you were a judge and a lawyer, and now you do stand up full time.
So I always wanted to do it. Was raised by Italian immigrant parents. My first language was Italian, so they didn't really appreciate Hollywood and the whole being an actor, comedian thing. So they always pushed me school. So I went to college, went to law school, and then I always had this bug. I wanted to do it since I was a kid. I saw Richard Pryor on an HBO special. I'm like, that's what I want to do. And then after I graduated law school, I took the bar exam. I took a comedy course with this guy, Steven Rosenfeld, who was really just like this Catskilly type, vaudevillian, awful type of comedy.
I think he's still teaching that class somewhere.
Oh, God. Oh, man, that's rough.
I know.
But the reason I took the class is because I didn't know how else to get on stage. And I wanted to get on stage at one of the big clubs. Because if I was going to do it, I wanted to give it a legit shot. So I wrote up a set. He didn't like my set at all. So he made me write out a set to show him before I went on stage. And he kept trying to change my joke. So I gave him a dummy set. And I went on stage and everyone, you know the way New Talent show goes. Everyone bombs. Yeah. Bomb, bomb, bomb. So I'm in the middle of the lineup. And I had what at the time, was a really good set for a new act. Probably to set it a night. Looking back, I'd probably want to kill myself watching that video. But it was, at the time, it was really good. Get off stage. There's someone there from Gotham that says, you got to come down our club. You got to come down our club. That's when Gotham was at West 22nd. So I got booked to go do Gotham. And I got in just before the Bringer shows. I mean, so we're talking 97. It was just before that thing really got into full swing. So I performed at Gotham. Someone's like, hey, you should go talk to Tim Davis down at Stand Up New York. Went down to Stand Up New York on a Tuesday night. It was a beautiful summer night. There were 3 people in the audience, and there were some big time headliners that were coming in to work out stuff. None of them wanted to go on stage. And I'm like, I'll go up. And Tim Davis said, you're going to go up on stage? I said, I'll go up right now. And I went up first. Worked the set as hard as I could, talked to the audience, came off. He handed me tickets. He goes, you don't have to bark or anything like that. Just here, these are tickets for your friends. You go start calling in avails. And I just started getting booked. I got really lucky that the night that I performed at Caroline's, there was someone there from Gotham. Then when I went to Gotham, someone said, go talk to Tim. But it was also different back then, Ray, because for as much as it's competitive, and it was always competitive, I felt like back then, people were more apt to say, hey, you should go do a set here. You should go work there. Or do you know this booker there? I feel like that died pretty quick after I started. Like I'm going to say within 10 years, like mid,
Yes.
the 2000s, the zeros, that disappeared.
Yes. It used to be this guy's funny. Let's put him on. And
Yeah.
I'll never forget. I was at an open mic and I saw Nate Bargatze for the first time, and I was like, "You got to hit up this person." He had just moved like a few days ago. Nowadays, it's like, "Hey, great set. Here's 9 hoops to jump through, and
Yep.
if we think you're a good hang, we may book you."
Yeah.
If we think you're not cool, these hoops aren't going to mean shit.
Right.
Dude, I heard one club, this comic who does the road, who's passed on at clubs on the road, said, "How do I get?" I don't want to say the club name. "How do I get in?" And the other comic was like, "You got to take the class." And it's like, what? So basically, you got to pay to play. Get the fuck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It took a weird turn.
Mm-hmm.
And I was lucky I got in when I did. Like one of the things when the Laugh Factory came to New York, Jamie Masada opened up the Laugh Factory.
That's where I met you. I think I met you through Josh Spears or something.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the great thing there was he had this club on the corner of 42nd and 8th, and Dice's opener bailed at the last minute. Dice was headlining there. The club had just opened, and Jamie wanted to get people in. And I knew Dice's bodyguard, security guard, who did some of his road manager work, and said, "Hey, are you available
The karate
to come down
guy.
to a set?" Yes.
Okay.
And I said, "Yeah." And I went down. Place was sold out. Did my set. Went really well. Walked off stage. Jamie Masada walked up to me. He said, "Give me your phone number. Here's my email address. Start calling in avails." And that's the way it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
If you were good, boom, start calling in avails. And then there was this weird thing with some of the owners with certain comics that were favorites, and then they would have say in who got in. There was weird cliques. Then there were the rival clubs. I was around when Boston Comedy Club was around the corner from the Cellar. And if you were at Boston Comedy Club, you couldn't perform at the Cellar. Then there was that whole faction thing. So there was some of that weirdness, but then it got really cliquey. And then I was just like, wow, man, I'm lucky I got him where I did.
Yeah, it got very cliquey and it got very like, are you it in a lot of ways, people always say like high school kind of defines your life. But when people, especially when I talk to younger people who want to get into stand-up or acting, I'm like, just so you know, high school never ends. There's always going to be that lunch table with the cool kids.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't end. If you want to get into this, you're not dealing with mature adults.
And like you said, I kept my day job because I was a lawyer at the time. Mm-hmm. And no one knew that I was a lawyer in comedy, and no one in law knew I was a comedian at night. And I kept these 2 parallel careers going. So I really didn't have the opportunity to hang out, at the Olive Tree or whatever until 2 a.m, or let's go to the diner. I worked my sets, and if I was done at 1:30 a.m, or whatever it was, sometimes I drove back to my office to catch up on some work, went home, got 4 or 5 hours sleep, went back to the office, and it was, rinse and repeat. So, where comics could hang out because they didn't have to wake up the next morning. I didn't have that luxury because I had a job. Yeah.
And you had the job for a while, and then there was like a little bit of I don't want to say controversy, but there was there was a little bit of coverage, right? Did the State of New Jersey try to mess with you a little bit?
Yeah. So what happened was I got nominated for a judge job in 2007, December. And I told them, I'm like, listen, man, this is going to be a problem. I don't want the job. I don't need it. I'm doing well in my career. Thank God. And they voted for me anyway. 3 Republicans, 2 Democrats, 5-0 vote. They made me a judge. You go to judge school, you get all the rules. I told them, look, this is what I do. I'm on this TV show. What would you do? I do stand up. This is everything. And they're like, all right, well, we don't see there being a problem. And then someone else got in trouble a couple of years later. And then they said, well, you know what? We saw the TV show and you play these really bad characters. And, maybe people can't tell the difference between acting and, what you do in real life as a judge. We suggest you resign. And I'm like, I'm not going to resign. I'm into this thing for 2.5 years now. You asked me to quit? No. So they said, well, we're going to file a complaint against you. I'm like, do it. So they filed a complaint against me. I fought it. Then they came after me for the comedy. And then the Democrats took over the town. So they figured, they're not going to vote for this guy because they figured the Republicans put me in, but they didn't realize Republicans and Democrats voted for me. Yeah, so the Democrats came in and they voted me back in because they just liked me as a judge.
Yeah.
So they were like, shit, we got to deal with this guy. So then it went to the Supreme Court in New Jersey. And, they watched, I gave them videos. I gave them the What Would You Do show that I was all over. And they're like, look, man, you did everything right, but we don't think the public is smart enough to tell the difference between real life you and stage you and television you. And someone may think that you're the person on TV and stage. We know it's different, but the public may not figure it out. So you know what? Choose. You could be a lawyer and a comedian or a judge and a lawyer, but not all three. So I said, all right. So I gave up being a judge and I'm, stayed with my lawyer, comedian, actor path.
That's great. Yeah. It's so funny. You're like, hey, I just want to give you a heads up. No, it's fine. Then it's like, then 2 years later, like now it's a problem. It's like, really?
Yeah. So, yeah. And it was, it was one of those things I knew what I was going to do. It wasn't, people like, oh man, that must have been heart wrenching. It's like, no, because you know as well as anybody, Ray, you've seen God knows how many comedians go through the different clubs. I mean, you've been around the city, you've been through all the clubs, you've seen A-listers all the way down to the D-list comics. Mm-hmm. You don't know if your break is right in front of your nose or a mile down the road.
Yeah.
And you have to stick with it because, I mean, look, Pete Davidson started stand up 18 years old and look at him now.
And now he's going to get murdered by Kanye West. So
right. And
it all worked out.
But even Michael Che, Michael Che was, what I call instant success.
Well, how about Vic DiBenedetto? I mean, I remember
around for years.
He was like just another road hack has been.
Yeah.
And look at him now. He sells out everywhere.
And he does, and it wasn't even comedy that got him. It was the bread and the milk thing.
Yeah.
One video went viral.
Yeah, you just got to keep going. And
yeah.
I
you
tell
don't know
people,
what it's going to be.
Yeah, I tell people if you're in this to only be famous,
get out.
And you're only going to be happy if you're famous, don't do it. You kind of have to be like, if someone comes out and be like, hey, just so you know, you're going to be 70 playing a brewery in Wisconsin for 5 people. If you're like, all right, I accept that because I just love doing this, then I think you're going to be okay. Whether you become Louis C.K. or not, you'll be okay. I'll say this. I don't know a lot about Louis C.K., but I'll say this. He would be happy doing the brewery for 7 people the rest of his life.
He would be.
If that's what it came to. Yeah.
Yeah, he loves doing stand-up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what you have. That's what you have to have. And, you have to just, because you never know. And this is a weird business. And I've seen bookers decide they don't like a comic on a weird reason. And I've seen bookers decide they love a comic. I mean, Carly Aquila got MTV because she had the right hair dye. So.
Dude, you used to watch all of the different shows and the comedy festivals and, judges, whatever the fuck that means, look at comedians. And it was amazing. I mean, the reason I got into Caroline's on a Monday night was part of the festival, and I was part of some comedy festival. And I remember doing my set at Stand Up New York for the New York Comedy Festival, did my set, went really well. And I was walking out the door and Linda Smith, who did the Monday night shows, comes walking after me. She's like, hey, she goes, where you going? I said, I'm going home. She goes, what do you mean you're going home? I said, I'm leaving. She goes, we didn't even finish judging. I said, I know what you guys are going to do.
Yeah.
I said, you don't want me. She goes, what's your name? I tell her my name. She goes, how come I never heard of you? I said, who are you? How come I never heard of you? And it started off like a fight.
Yeah.
And the next thing I know, she's like, give me your name, give me your number, give me your email. She's like, you're going to start closing Monday night shows at Caroline's. And I didn't get in the festival, but I got something better. I was literally closing every Monday show at Caroline's.
Yeah.
As opposed to one spot in the festival.
And that's why I used to like Caroline's, because I don't think it's like that anymore, but I could go to Louis, be like, hey, there's this guy, Tim Dillon, you got to see him. And then Tim Dillon's on a Monday. Here's this set, great set, you can pay him now. And that's the way it should work. And, and that's how people get. I don't think that's like that anymore. I can't. If I walk into like some weird room and I see a guy, I can't go to a comic strip or stand and be like, hey, I know you never heard of this guy. He's great. Can I put him on my? They'll be like, huh? What is his credits?
And it's funny because New York used to be where if somebody went to bat for you, take a look at this comic, you would get that shot. You'd get that audition. Yeah. Now New York isn't like that. Whereas you go on the road. So I'm going down to Fort Myers area this weekend. I called up someone who's, I said, listen, I'm going down to Fort Myers. What good clubs? There's a club in Naples off the hook. I'll make a phone call for you. Called up Thursday night. You got a spot. They're going to check you out. If they like you, they know all about you. They'll bring you back. They'll headline you for at least one show.
I've heard
a
that's a
weekend.
good club.
Right. And that's Ray. That's the way it used to be. And it's not like that anymore.
No, it's not.
Not in the city anyway. I think on the road it's like that.
Yeah, on the road it's like that. I just headlined a place and I gave them a few names, and they're headlining the people I recommended. So
it happens, just not in the city, I guess.
Not in the city. And it used to be, because there's that excitement of like, we got Eddie Murphy. Like, the comic strip, that's like a shrine to we discovered Eddie Murphy. There's this, I think there's kind of like, and I still feel that excitement. Like, hey man, I was booking this guy and now he's selling out theaters. But I was booking him when he was eating cheese sticks on the fucking side of the road.
Yeah, and that's the fun of the business.
Yeah, and now it's like,
how many Instagram followers do you have?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now there's like, exactly. There's not that like, ooh, I discovered this new exciting guy. Let's put him up. No. So
it is what it is.
It is what it is. Now let's get move on to happier times. When did you get into Star Wars? Because I noticed the Darth Vader pillow. I could tell you're.
Yeah, I got the Darth Vader pillow. I have the Force is Strong in my family T-shirt for you. So Star Wars comes out in May '77.
Yeah,
I'm 8 years old. I grew up in Hackensack, New Jersey, and down Main Street, Hackensack, there were these two movie theaters across from each other. One was the Oritani, the other one was the Fox. And the Oritani was showing Star Wars. Mm-hmm. Next to the Oritani was this bookstore called Worm Rats. And if you knew how to get into Worm Rats the right way, you could sneak into the movie theater. So I would walk down Main Street, Hackensack every Saturday after I saw Star Wars the first time my brother took me. I would literally go down when it was a nice day, walk down Main Street, sneak into the movie theater, and go see Star Wars. I'm going to say I probably saw Star Wars in the movie theater, in that particular theater, somewhere in the ballpark of about 25, 30 times.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Literally every weekend. Because back then movies would stay in the theater for like years.
Yeah, and I know Star Wars was making so much money, there was no way they were going to let it leave it out of time. Yeah.
So the usher, because there's like 5 people in the movie theater. So because it's in the afternoon. So the usher got to see me so many times. At one point, he's like, kid, don't you want to see any other movies? I'm like, nah, I just want to see this movie. He's like, all right, look, man, I know you're sneaking in the back of the theater. He was like 16 years old or whatever he was. He's like, I see you sneaking in. He goes, rather than sneak in and like go through the friggin' bookstore next door and that secret hallway, he's like, just come to the back door when the last movie lets out. I'll let you in. He goes, as long as and the guy started just letting me in because he knew how much I love Star Wars. So I was a Star Wars fanatic out of the gate, had the Star Wars figures. So yeah, Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, was totally into that franchise. Then obviously I was much older when the next 3 came out. Look, Clones was what it was. Mm-hmm. Jar Jar Binks, all of that stuff. I didn't have much expectation for it, but the one thing I do respect that Lucas did was he kept some consistency with the canons and the storyline. And even when the next one came out, what that was the next one after Clones?
Revenge of the Sith.
No, it was Clone. Sith was the third one.
Yeah, it was Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones.
Phantom Menace. I'm sorry, Phantom Menace. Mm-hmm. So Phantom Menace, that's the one that it was what it was. Clones, Sith was great.
Sith is a great film, very underrated.
It was great. And then even when Rogue One came out, they had people like shit on Rogue One. And I'm like, you know what? They had to thread the needle so tight on that because of the storyline and the gap from Sith to New Hope. I'm like, for what they had to work with, I thought they did a great job.
Yeah.
They had
Rogue One is my favorite out of all. I would say, I don't want to say the modern era, but like this new era that kind of started in 2015. It's the closest to the original films.
I 100% agree. Mm-hmm. So I was into Star Wars, and that's why, one of the things that anyone that watches this, that when I start going off on this movie, how much I hate it, I just want everyone to know, because everyone's like, oh, dude, you're just a hater. No, you don't get into a franchise the way look at this. I got Star Wars crap everywhere, Ray. The Star Wars
You really do.
I got Disney crap Ray.
Yeah.
I have Star Wars shit literally everywhere.
Mhm.
You don't get into something with the hopes of shitting on it. Look, I know there are people wake up every morning that go on the internet. I want to find something to hate today. I'm not that guy. I really wanted this franchise to do well. In fact, I'll tell you, I love The Mandalorian.
Yes, The Mandalorian is great. I haven't watched the Book of Boba Fett yet. How have you been watching that?
Meh.
Yeah.
That's my meh.
Okay.
Love The Mandalorian. So I wanted to get into these movies. I really wanted to enjoy it. The last 3 movies are such a disaster.
Yeah.
They're so bad on so many levels that. So when I went to see the first one, The Force Awakens, I
remember we were the week a couple of days before it came out. You were doing the Monday show.
Yes.
And we were talking about it. You went at like 5 a.m. or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. How big of a fan are you to see it premiere night?
But yeah, at 5 a.m. It's one thing midnight, but you had to get up early before you work.
Yes.
You had to get up when it was still dark out and go to a movie theater and sit in a movie theater for 3 hours, then go to work, then probably do stand up, get home at 2 a.m. You're gonna be up for 24 hours because you need to see Star Wars.
Okay. So went to see because I didn't want anyone to ruin it for me.
Mm-hmm.
And no one had to ruin it for me because the movie ruined it for me 10 minutes into the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just, like literally 10 minutes into the movie, I'm like, oh. And then I literally, as I'm sitting there, I'm like, J.J. Abrams.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, J.J. did what J.J. does. And I wasn't even mad at Kathleen Kennedy at the time because then you find out the real disaster.
When Last Jedi came out, that's when I got mad at everyone behind the scenes.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So you don't realize the disaster that's unfolding until the next 2 movies come out.
Yes, because there's still hope with this. When this movie ends, you're like, all right, there's a lot of questions, let's see what happens in episode 8. And then when episode 8 comes out, like, oh, they don't know what the fuck they're doing. And then 9 comes out like, yeah, nobody knew what the fuck they're doing, but at least it's over.
There was no roadmap, no nothing.
Yeah,
but the thing that got me with the first one, The Force Awakens, is 10 minutes into the movie, I'm like, this is just a bad movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just bad writing. Like, the first scene, when the guy, Max von Sydow says, this is going to make everything right, or whatever he says, and he hands the USB port to friggin' Poe.
The USB
port. And then Poe puts it in the WNBA ball that rolls away, the WNBA basketball thing.
Yeah.
And that thing rolls away. And then here comes Kylo Ren, and the guy who downloaded whatever he put on the USB port, he's got him there. And what does he do? He kills him only to get the guy he handed the USB port and say, now I'm going to torture you to get the information. I'm like, wait. You're going to torture him. You had the guy that handed him the thing.
That probably created the information.
Right. Well, why would you kill him? And
who, by the way, we never find out who that guy is.
Nothing.
Why he had that information.
No.
Where he came from. They say in the scroll an old friend. And I remember people having this theory. Maybe that's an old Boba Fett. Maybe that's this. Maybe it's just some old guy that we never hear about ever again in any of the movies.
And that's pretty much what happens every single movie with every single character.
Yeah.
There's no attachment. Yeah.
My problem with J.J. Abrams, and he does this a lot in this movie, and this is very easy to do. And he did this with Alias and Lost. It's like, he'll be like, hey, there's this girl. She's a mysterious girl. She's stranded in the desert, but she has force powers, and she's even more powerful than Luke Skywalker. Well, who is she? I don't know. And it's like, okay, that's great, but you need to have a follow through. And he never has a follow through. He just is like,
no. And he does shit in his movies just to make them 2 hours long.
Yeah.
So, for example, like even in that scene, all right. So the stuff that you're looking for, Kylo Ren, is literally where you just went. Mm-hmm. You went to get the thing that you're looking for.
Yeah.
You kill the guy who creates the thing.
You kill the entire town too.
Kill the entire town, and then you're like, bring him on my spaceship. I'm going to torture him. It's like, wait, where the fuck are you going? The thing is here. Why are you leaving?
Yeah.
The fucking thing is here.
Yeah. And you probably might have already. Also, while they're burning down the town, they might have burned down the thing because they didn't even search.
It's so right out of the gate, I'm pissed off. Then just here's my other thing. Look, you gotta have some consistency with the folklore.
Yeah.
You have to have some consistency with the character. When you tell me and explain to me that this girl Ray is stuck on not Tatooine, whatever the planet is, Jakku, which is Tatooine, just not Tatooine. Yeah. She grew up on this planet. She never left the planet. She's been waiting for her parents and apparently is just scavenging her whole life, waiting for her parents to come back. She doesn't know shit about shit. Okay, that's fine. But if that's who she is, she can't be good at fucking everything.
Yeah.
She literally can't be able to fly spaceships. And I mean, she flies the Millennium Falcon better than Han Solo, never having
and
been
she's
in
never
a
even walked in there.
Right. You've got to give me, I mean, what is you tell me at least she's been watching YouTube videos on how to fly spaceships her entire life. You got to give me something.
Yeah, and you know, it's like when Luke is just like an average dude. There's no indication that Luke could do anything when the movie starts.
Right.
And even when Obi-Wan's trying to train him, he's fucking up. He's just not getting it.
Yes.
He's just not getting it. And then finally Obi-Wan goes into the Force, and Obi-Wan is like, just relax, dude. Just trust me. And then Luke finally kind of actually listens to him and is able to hit a shot that, and Han Solo says that was 1,000,000 to 1 shot. It's like there's so many ways where Luke could have fucked that up, right? But he just kind of gave in to Obi-Wan for a second. But she doesn't have that. She doesn't have any. No, she doesn't have anyone like that.
Nothing.
She's great at everything.
Nobody. No training, no nothing. And she makes zero mistakes.
Yeah.
Zero. And then not only that, but she knows how to fix the Millennium Falcon. Because at one point, they're trying to get away.
Oh, yeah. When her and Han are arguing about
And he's like, how did you do it? She's like, I bypassed a couple. And Han Solo's looking at her like, I didn't even know that. Dude, come on. What are we doing here? And again, you know, it's that woke, I got to make the female heroine. Look, I don't have a problem with us having a female hero, but she can't be perfect. I mean, literally, Luke Skywalker in Empire Strikes Back is in the gym training with Yoda hard every day.
He still fucks everything up.
He's 6 days a week, double sessions, you know, egg whites, doing the training. He has a fake sparring match against Vader, goes to fight Vader, gets his hand cut off.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fails
literally
to save
out
Han.
of the gym.
Han is taken away.
Yeah. Loses his hand in a fight that he's been training for nonstop and has had the best trainer in the world. He's got Cus D'Amato training him. Yeah. He's got the best trainer in the world. Goes and loses the fight, training with the best in the universe, Yoda. This chick fights Kylo Ren and fucking beats him based on nothing.
Yeah.
She's never held a lightsaber.
Yeah, they never had a lightsaber. And you know what? I would forgive all that if her backstory was better. If, like, the next movie, they're like, she was designed to be... No, she's Anakin. No. I'm sorry, Palpatine's granddaughter. Which basically means the Palpatines... And that's the other thing. And I don't mean to talk about Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
But if Palpatine could just have kids and grandkids, or just this fucking good, why did you need Anakin Skywalker?
He didn't need anybody.
Start fucking.
And if he's got a grandkid that's that good, where's his kid?
Yeah. Why did his kid not? Like, why didn't Luke find the kid or Yoda find the kid? No one knew about this kid. It's.
And then there's two other things that really bother me about this movie. Mm-hmm. We've had these stormtroopers, okay, that are basically clones. They're programmed like soldiers, out of the friggin' whatever they're hatched out of, whether it's real people or not. They come out of an incubator and they're immediately indoctrinated, okay? And over the however long it's been that we've had stormtroopers, not one has ever glitched. This dude, first mission, goes out and is like hyperventilating at the sight of blood, whatever. They check his then Phasma, useless stormtrooper, is like, have your weapon checked. I'm like, have your weapon checked. He's got his helmet off. He's having an asthmatic attack. He's got fucking COVID for all you know. And you're just check your weapon. No one thinks, hey, maybe we need to send this dude to like a Star Wars fucking psychiatrist.
Retraining program, yeah.
Yeah, reprogram this guy. No. And then he's having this emotional breakdown over, a stormtrooper dying next to him, which is bleeding, which who's ever seen blood in Star Wars?
Yeah.
And what does he do? He helps Poe escape. And on the way out, starts fucking blasting away stormtroopers.
All his friends. All the
He's
people
killing.
And then when I remember watching, he's just gleefully murdering stormtroopers with Han Solo later on in the movie.
You can't be a pacifist and then immediately start killing the thing that made you feel like you're either a pacifist or you're not.
And again, I thought when I watched this movie and suddenly a stormtrooper, if you pitch it to me, the movie starts with a stormtrooper waking up from his programming and escaping. It's like, that sounds interesting. Like a stormtrooper is going to rise to become the hero.
Something.
And I'm thinking to myself, maybe the Force Awakens. Maybe the Force woke something in to break the program. No, he's not a Jedi. He just decided one day, I'm not into this.
He just had a nervous breakdown after, his entire life of indoctrination.
Yeah.
That was the moment he has a nervous breakdown.
And then he's just joking and goofing around. And
no backstory, no nothing to give us any indication why. Because at that point, now I'm saying to myself, well, if he has no backstory, and there's no reason why he glitched, then literally fucking every stormtrooper can glitch.
Yeah.
Then why did this just happen once?
Mm-hmm.
Then this should be like a thing where it's like, every now and then.
That should be, and I thought maybe that was the plot they were going to do where he like tries to like, hey, if I could, what if we broke the programming? Here's the thing. Hey, this guy Finn broke his programming. What if we break the programming of all the stormtroopers? Then they don't have an army. Then we can fucking just go in there and kill the. But no one ever thinks that. No one ever. Yeah.
Then there's this weird thing they don't explain. So I guess it's 30 years after Return of the Jedi.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you just blew up the Death Star. As far as we know, Palpatine is dead. Yeah. Darth Vader we know is dead. Mm-hmm. Okay. What happened to the rebellion that they become the Republic? Okay, so you're in charge. You're the Republic. The universe is celebrating because you show me at the end of Return of Jedi, everyone's having a party. Everyone's doing great. We're all living large. We got rid of the evil empire. Who the hell is the resistance? What are they resisting? How did
the First Order it kind of makes the heroes look like idiots. That not only did they lose everything, but also like Han's son is leading the charge and Luke is just not around. Luke is just not there.
Oh, Han Solo's story is a whole other thing. Yeah. Because you have this incredible character arc from smuggler, selfish, falls in love, gets married, apparently, has a kid, and then just turns into a drunk smuggler
Then just leaves.
Sends his kid off to fucking karate school with his uncle and never stays in touch with him again. And the kid is a fuck up. And I'm not talking to my wife. I mean, can we get anything on what? Because last we saw, your shit was going well.
Yeah.
Jabba's dead. You owe nobody money. Yeah. You owe nobody money. You got the assist of a lifetime on blowing up the first Death Star. You literally threw the alley to Luke's oop on the first Death Star. Mm-hmm. You do it a second time. You're the fucking hero of the universe next to Luke Skywalker. And now you're just like some dude in a bowling alley. Like, what the fuck? Ray,
some goof named Snook has taken over the galaxy. And I'll never forget when they killed Snook in Last Jedi. I said to someone online. Well, if Snook is that big of an idiot, how did he take away the Republic? And they're like, well, it doesn't matter. I'm like, yeah, it does matter. It does.
Right. Because and that's why I tell people, look, I know we're nerds. Mm-hmm. I know we get into the canon and the folklore, but at the same time, you have to understand the people that are Star Wars are the nerds.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's the reason why we gravitate towards this stuff. Yeah. We like the consistency. And even like, with certain things, like when all of a sudden, like the lightsaber, Luke Skywalker is literally Darth Vader's son. He's Anakin Skywalker's son. Okay. He gets handed the lightsaber his father lost to Obi-Wan Kenobi with. He gets handed it, nothing, no reaction. This chick touches a lightsaber that apparently gets lost in these, by the way, these air shafts.
By the way, they never explained how what's her name got the lightsaber.
No.
And I remember an interview where Jane, whoa, there's gonna be a
She said, for another day. How about fucking today? Today's a good day.
how about right now? How did this lightsaber get here? Why is it calling to her?
But not only that, she touches the lightsaber and all of a sudden she goes on a mushroom trip, acid trip, where she has all of these visions, and it's like, no, the lightsabers don't do that.
Yeah.
Lightsabers don't come with like a hallucinogenic kind of reaction where all of a sudden you grab the lightsaber and you have some vision, and she knows how to do Jedi mind tricks. Like, how would you even know to do that?
Yeah, like I don't recall even a scene where Han was like, "Hey, the Jedi can be like, these aren't the droids you're looking for, and if you're the good enough Jedi, you can get people to do whatever you want." There's never like she just knows how to do it. Whereas Luke at least saw Obi-Wan do it, so Luke later on in the can do that now to people.
And then the whole map thing, where like they're looking at a map of the universe and they don't know what it is. It's like, listen, you guys have to make up your mind. Are you guys super technologically advanced, or are you literally 1970?
Yeah.
You have to decide which it is, because you can't do both things at the same time. You can't be able to fly through space, hyperspace. You can't be able to jump to light speed and at the same time not have Waze and know where the hell Luke Skywalker is. And there's a piece of the map that's missing, and no one else has a map. This is dude. We literally as humans have only gone to the moon. We've been able to send robots to Mars, and yet we have a map of the universe, and somehow they don't.
They don't. No, yeah. So there's only one map to the universe, and that old guy had it in a bunker, and
he puts it on the USB port, and the little WNBA ball is rolling around with it for the whole movie.
Yeah,
it's like, come on, what are we doing, man? What is this movie doing? And then we're gonna. All right, here's a new thing.
Okay.
Now we're gonna make the Death Star the size of an actual planet. We're gonna give it a weather system, even though it's still floating through the universe. It has a weather system, okay, and make it as vulnerable as every other Death Star we've. Dude, an X-wing fighter can still blow the thing up. What the fuck are you doing to me?
Yeah. That's the thing. It's like if the Death Star thing happened in real life, that story of Luke hitting that would be in history class. That would be on TV. It would be everywhere. Everyone would know, hey, what happened to Death Star? Luke Skywalker hit the exhaust point. So if you're going to be like, all right, we're going to create even a bigger Death Star. No exhaust port. No little thing. We can't do that. Nope, they still do it.
How about we're going to have an exhaust port. We're going to put a shield over it.
Yeah.
And how about on the new thing that we build that's the size of a planet, can we have some type of failsafe where literally an X-wing fighter can't blow it up? I mean, that's literally like throwing a golf ball at an aircraft carrier and being able to disable it.
Yeah.
I mean, and that was the other thing. Like at the end of the movie, like the Resistance is going to take this thing out. They literally went with like 12 X-wing fighters. It's like, wait a minute, that's your Resistance?
That's all you need to blow up this. Yeah.
Ray, I left. So like you said, so I go see it at 5:00 in the morning, and we're walking out, and you could tell who went to see this movie at 5 a.m. Yeah. It was lunatics like me.
Yeah.
It was Star Wars fans, and all of us left dead silent. Like, I guarantee you, people that went to see that with their kids, 2 weeks later on a Saturday, at the end of the movie, were clapping. Yeah. They're the people that clap on the plane. They were clapping. Whereas we left dead silent. We walk out of the dark theater. It's 7 a.m, 7 or whatever time it is in the morning. We all have to go to work. And finally, somebody walking ahead goes, wow, what a piece of shit that was. And that was it. It was like someone finally dropped it, and everybody else was like, "Oh my god, what a disappointment!"
Mhm.
And literally everybody that was in that movie theater at that time, again, lunatics like me, we were like, "That was a total disappointment."
Yeah.
Total disappointment.
And so I'll give you my background. I liked it the first time I saw it. And I think I liked it because I was like, all right, it has problems, but it's just nice to see Chewbacca again. It's nice to see Leia.
Nostalgia.
And I can't wait to see Luke. Yeah. And there are places and if they knew what they were doing, there are ways to make the second and third movie where all this shit they did work. However, all the decisions they've made since this movie have made this movie make no fucking sense. This movie now makes no sense. Yeah, it's worse now.
Made it worse.
It made it worse because there's like moments. If you rewatch it, there's moments where Han is kind of looking at Rey, and you're like, "Oh, he knows who she is," but for some reason he's not telling her.
No,
and I was like, "No, he didn't. He didn't."
Yeah, and that was the weird thing about it was, look, you had these character arcs that you worked with so well for the New Hope, Empire, Return. All right, you come back with Phantom Menace, Clones, Revenge of the Sith. You still have character arcs. Even in Solo, the standalone, you kept consistent. Then you take these characters and for no reason at all, over a course of 30 years, just turn them to hell with no reason. Like like what happened? Just give me some reason.
Yeah, there was never a scene.
Nothing.
And this should have been included because they did this in Ghostbusters because I didn't really like the new Ghostbusters. But they have a scene like how come the Ghostbusters aren't together anymore? They had Dan Aykroyd explain it. This is why we're not together.
Give me something.
Now I know why you guys have a problem. There should have been a scene where someone was like, how come Han and Leia aren't together? And it's never there. Why does Kylo not like Han and Leia? It's never explained.
There's never a moment when Kylo is running into his father that you're not thinking, oh, he's going to kill him.
Yeah.
Like there was never that.
And the other reason I don't like this, I'm sorry.
You knew.
Yeah, no, the moment they're walking, like they're gonna fucking have him kill the dad, and sure enough he kills him. Because I knew Harrison Ford didn't want to do this role anyway. Here's my other problem, and this is another thing that made this movie worse. As time goes by, I really wanted to see Han, Leia, and Luke back together again. I wanted to see them in the Millennium Falcon, being chased by the Empire, the First Order, cracking jokes, and
how do you not have that moment?
They kept them away, and then Carrie Fisher died, and now like you're never gonna have that moment because you killed Han, and Carrie Fisher died.
Brilliant point.
Yeah.
You have an opportunity if you're gonna do the nostalgia. If you're gonna have all of the characters from the last movie, you don't even explain how the hell he has Darth Vader's mask. Okay, but you're bringing back all of the nostalgia. Yeah. Great, awesome, love it. How do you not have that moment of those three people? That is so brilliant, Ray. Because
I would have had Harrison Ford. If you're gonna kill him in Last Jedi. But I would have had the moment where the new heroes are screwed, and the Millennium Falcon flies in. And in it are his CP3O, R2D2, Chewbacca, Leia, Han, and Luke.
But even at the end of the movie, Ray, you send this girl that has no connection to anybody. She comes back knowing Han Solo's dead, and somehow she's hugging Carrie Fisher. She's hugging Princess Leia like there's a connection. There's no connection.
Yeah.
I'm not emotionally moved at all. But worse than that, you're sending her to go find Luke Skywalker?
Yeah.
Not his sister.
And then the other thing that pissed me off about the next movie, and I hate to, but like he sees Chewbacca. Chewbacca tells him Han's dead.
No reaction.
Chewbacca just sits on the Millennium Falcon. And Luke is like with Rey. I'm like, Luke is not going to hang out with R2D2 and Chewbacca. Like,
no, not even his son killed him. They thought he was trying to bring him back. He felt that there was a weakness. Nothing. And that's the other thing. Chewbacca hits him with the crossbow, which is basically a cannon. And I mean, he gets what a hip injury. I mean, dude, come on. And then
Yeah.
and then someone tries to justify that it was the crossbow shot that made him weak in the fight with her. And I'm like, no, because he can't. That's the other thing. Then
He
the
could just use his
stormtrooper.
horsepower, like have a tree hit her in the head or something.
Oh, come on. It was so contrived. The whole thing was contrived. And again, let's bring back characters for nostalgia. Never put them on scene together.
Yeah.
Never let them have that moment. Even the Han and Leia scene. Like, why are they so pissed off at each other?
Yeah, and it's like,
why would you ruin one of the greatest moments in Empire Strikes Back is when Han Solo is ready to go into the chamber to get frozen, the cryo chamber, whatever it is. And she says, I love you. He says, I know. There were t-shirts all over Disney. I love you. I know. Anyone that's going to Disney to get married, they're wearing the Han Solo Princess Leia t-shirts. I love you. I know. An unbelievable moment.
And they fuck it up in this movie.
Let's throw that out.
Yeah. And I'll give them credit. Maybe they're like, maybe at the time, because no one can predict Carrie Fisher's going to die. Hey, right. At the end of Rise of Skywalker, we'll have a scene with all of them together. We'll do a flashback where they're all together. But Carrie Fisher did die, and it's like, right. Just do that in the first movie. These actors are old already. You know what I mean?
But not only did they not have a roadmap for all three movies, they didn't have a roadmap for the second movie. Rian Johnson doesn't even talk to J.J. Abrams.
Yeah.
He basically writes his own movie. Mm-hmm. And then the third movie,
contracts.
Two people.
Yeah.
Two people work on that. So it's not even J.J. Someone else starts. I forget who the director is. And then J.J.
it's the guy who did Jurassic World.
Right. And then J.J. comes in midway. And it's just like, I'm gonna throw out everything everybody did.
Yeah.
So my dog is crying. Lucy, come on down. Come down.
My dog is like, it was a really. I don't understand how they didn't just at least write out an outline. Like, sit there. Let's write out an outline, very broad strokes, and we can fuck around with the little details. Yeah. But the broad strokes are, I don't know, Luke has a daughter, and the daughter becomes the next fucking, I don't know, just something.
Yeah. Roadmap it. But look, again, if you're going to at least give me the consistency with the character of Rey.
Yeah.
You've got to give me a reason why she's really good at everything and makes zero mistakes. Mm-hmm. You got to give me something. You can't just tell me she grew up on this planet, never moved on the planet. Well, Luke Skywalker, same thing. Yeah, but Luke Skywalker couldn't even work the orb at first.
Yeah.
Okay. And even after he works the orb, he's not all of a sudden doing Jedi mind tricks on people. Even and in the next movie, Empire Strikes Back, like he gets beaten by that abominable snow monster thing. He's hanging upside down. Yeah, like he got his ass kicked a little bit.
Mm-hmm. No, she never gets her ass kicked even once in any of these movies.
Dude, they're outside. When she gets the lightsaber, and all of a sudden the First Order tracks them down to the bar with Maz Kanata, wherever the hell they are. She literally has stormtroopers chasing her. I've never seen her hold a blaster. She shoots two stormtroopers, or at least one stormtrooper, dead on.
Yeah.
Dead on. Like,
dead on.
Perfect aim. It's like, come on, man.
And then, like, we always forget, Last Jedi starts like an hour after this movie ends. Oh, yeah. And in Last Jedi, she's also like just fucking up Snook soldiers. Luke is like, I can't train you. You're too powerful. I'm so scared. And it's like, so this all happens to her within like 5 or 6 days, these two movies.
Yeah.
And by the end of the second movie, they're like, well, Kylo Ren's basically, let's take over the galaxy together. You're just so fucking good.
It's so ridiculous on so many levels. And that was my whole thing. Just give me some type of consistency.
Yeah. And you know what aggravates me now about when people make these movies, and they do this to geeks a lot. I remember when everyone was saying Last Jedi is not a good movie. And instead of being like, hey, we made a shitty movie, we need to fix it, they kind of like were like, the fan base is toxic. These are toxic people. And it's like, no, dude, you made a shitty movie. I spent a lot of money in Star Wars stuff. I want something good.
Again, I didn't want to hate these movies.
Yeah.
I mean, I've invested. Look, you've seen all the Star Wars stuff around me.
Yeah.
I've invested in these movies. Like when Disney did the first run series. So they had the first Dark Side of the Force half marathon down in Disney, where they did a 5K, 10K half marathon, and they did the Light Side of the Force out in Disneyland. I signed up for the Dark Side of the Force. I went down there. We ran. It was fun. We wanted to get into the Star Wars thing. But even like in Hollywood studios, when they set up the Star Wars land, like one of the things, my dog is freaking out. One of the things about it was, where's the connection to anything having to do with Star Wars?
Mm-hmm.
Like
I heard like when you go there, it's a lot of stuff about the new movies, but not so much with the old.
Nothing.
I heard.
So you want it to be what you want it to have some consistency with Star Wars. And look, what I tell people is this: you got to remember, New Hope, Empire, Return of the Jedi, Phantom Menace, Clones, and Return of the Sith, Revenge of the Sith, and Rogue One. That's 7 of the 10 movies. 70% of the movies
are great,
are based on that.
Mm-hmm.
And what you're basically doing is throwing out 70% of what Star Wars is, and like, nah, we're just going to start from now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that's why I tell people, look, I didn't want to hate it. I really didn't. But you can't make a crap movie and tell a fan, you know what, you're being too critical, you're nerding out on us.
Even like The Mandalorian, which I do love, also makes these movies worse, because it's like, where's Baby Yoda? Did Kylo Ren slaughter Baby Yoda when he blew up the Jedi training center? Or is Baby Yoda just like, yeah, fuck all this, I'm going to go on vacation when this is going down? Because Baby Yoda's probably not a baby anymore at that point.
It's really weird the way that they just, and it's what was really even more weird was when they got Dan and Dave Benioff, the 2 guys from Game of Thrones. And they're like, we're going to give you a new trilogy. And I was like, oh, no. Look, man, if you don't have a roadmap, if you don't have source material, we've seen what happens with these guys.
By the way, have you ever read the Game of Thrones books?
So it's funny you mention that. So I get a lot of crap for Game of Thrones, how I hated season 7 and 8.
Oh, I hated them too.
A lot of people hated 8. I'm like, no, I hated 7 and 8. I'm like, I didn't start hating at 8. I started hating at 7. So here's another show. I get totally engulfed in it. Literally download the audiobooks. One Game of Thrones audiobook is like 35 hours.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but when I tell people, you have to think about how into the books and the show and the lore you are to spend 155 hours of your life that you're never going to get back. Okay. Listening to these audiobooks, which are complicated, not easy. And are very different from the TV show, by the way.
Well, but the one thing, I only read the first book, but I will tell you, this is what I realized these guys did. They basically copy and pasted the book into the scripts and handed it to the actors. Like, the actors are saying lines from the book word for word. So it's like, these guys were just, they basically copied their book report.
Completely. Yeah. And they do that well enough while they have source material.
Yes.
And then when they run out of source material, and they deviate a little bit from the books in a way
every now
where they lose a couple characters where you're like, okay. And they also, of course, visually, they don't make Tyrion look like what he's supposed to look like in the book. And
the kids are older.
Yeah, fine, whatever. I'm cool with all of that. I loved first 6 seasons of Game of Thrones. I mean, loved it. Didn't like it, loved it. Then again, you get to a point where when you run out of source material, it's fine you don't have source material. It's fine you want to end this thing the way you want to end it. But please stick to a consistent, at least the character arcs.
Yeah.
Just give me the character arc. And that was the thing with Star Wars. You gave me no character arc with even Princess Leia. She just became this. Yeah, she just became this sad old lady. Han Solo, part of the biggest save in the universe, goes back to being a smuggler.
Mm-hmm.
You know what kind of street cred he has in the universe?
Luke Skywalker just doesn't want to do anything anymore.
Skywalker, literally, the last time we saw him, was willing to die to not fight his father. And then when he realizes he's having a brain lapse, he looks at Palpatine, throws away his lightsaber. Dude, you're going to kill me. I'll die with my old man here. The three of us are going down. They're going to blow up this planet. That's how positive of an energy force I am. And within 30 years, because his nephew's a shithead, he throws all of that out the window? Because your nephew's a jerk off, you throw it out the window?
Did you ever hear a rumor that when they bought Star Wars, one of the objectives that I think someone high up at Disney was like, we need to make sure Luke is no longer the center of the Star Wars universe? Did you ever hear that rumor?
The whole thing is the Skywalker family.
I know. I feel like they've been slowly trying to character assassinate Luke Skywalker since they bought it. So,
but you killed the entire Skywalker family.
Yeah.
Because by the time you get to the last movie, Darth Vader's redemption arc, Anakin Skywalker's redemption arc is done because apparently, again, these air shafts that people can get thrown down and explode, that hands can go flying down with lightsabers. There must be like a lost and found box at the bottom of these friggin' air shafts. By
the way, Luke, Rey, the granddaughter, probably the most powerful and most willing guy to be on the dark side, never feels tempted to go to the dark side. Never has a moment. Luke constantly tempted an Empire. Anakin went over. Kylo Ren, but she just doesn't get tempted. Meanwhile, her dad is her dad's basically Hitler.
The most evil person in the universe.
Yeah. But she's
most evil person in the universe. Yeah, the whole thing was just weird. Even the whole First Order, it's like, where did these guys come from? There's no explanation as to it. No how, they came together. Even Snow, at least with like Vader, you knew there was an emperor somewhere. You knew there was an empire. Like with these guys, you were like, First Order, okay, who's in charge of you? Well, there's a dude named Snoke. All right, I'm sorry. This dude doesn't look 30 years old.
Yeah.
And
I really,
where did this?
Yeah, and I kind of thought like Snook, was like Wizard of Oz, and I had these theories. It's gonna be Samuel L. Jackson as Mace Windu. It's gonna be Liam Neeson as Qui-Gon. They went to the dark side. They didn't die, but this is like an image. No, it actually is Snook, and he just gets killed. Oh,
he's a dude. He's a dude, literally in a formaldehyde jar that Palpatine kept screwing up until that was like the best version. That's the other thing. He was like the best version. So by the time you get to the last movie, The Rise of Skywalker, then when you start seeing the jars with all the Snokes, it was like, wait a minute, that was the best one you came up with?
Yeah.
That was the good one.
I just can't believe
in 5 minutes.
I can't believe they had and that's the thing too. It's like, this is what a lot of people worked hard on these movies. Exactly. That's why I get mad. You had at least a couple of thousand people working on this, and this is what you came up with.
Yeah.
This is what you came up with.
And to me, the sad thing is, like, at some point, and I hate to bring in like reality into the situation, but for somebody like Mark Hamill, who is all over Twitter, constantly trashing Trump, standing up to government, dude, you didn't stand up to J.J. Abrams.
Yeah. Well, I heard he did have an interview where he did say he didn't like what Rian Johnson did, and I think Disney fucking spanked him behind the scenes, and he calmed down.
But at that point, if I'm the actor and I see you doing that to the movie, I know you need me.
Yeah.
I'd be like, I'm out. This is not what the movie is.
Yeah.
I've made
Lucas.
Dude, you're in your late 60s. Where are you going?
Yeah. There was a great interview when Force Awakens came out where George Lucas takes Mark Hamill and Carrie Fisher to lunch. And he goes, Disney wants to buy Star Wars. They're going to make 7, 8, 9, no matter what. I'll only sell if you guys will come back, because I have an outline. And they didn't follow his outline, by the way.
No, at all.
I have an outline. And if you guys come back, I'll sell, because then we can tell that story. And Carrie Fisher, before he was like, yeah, I'll come back. I need the money. Let's fucking do it.
Yeah.
And he only sold so that their story could be wrapped up. And then they just went and did whatever they wanted. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You know?
and Lucas too. At that point, it's like, dude, I understand you didn't want to do it maybe yourself. You're a little long in the tooth. You're a little bit older. You want to do something else. You don't want to invest. It's a
Well,
huge investment of your own personal mind. I
yeah,
get it, but you have to do something where you keep yourself attached to the thing.
yeah,
And I could say that people could say, well, it's easy for you. Look, I don't have Lucas billions.
yeah,
Okay. I'm struggling. You know me, Ray. I don't put my own comedy up on the internet to protect my material, to
yeah.
protect my IP. I have scripts, I have books, I have stuff that I've written that I won't give away to protect it so it doesn't get ruined.
Hmm.
Okay. I've been offered money to buy my story, and I'm like, I'm not telling you my story. Why? Because you're going to do a shitty version of my
Yeah.
story. And you know what? I
And
would
then
rather it,
you can't make money off
right.
it.
I
Yeah.
would rather it die with me
Hmm.
than you do a shitty version of it. And I'm struggling to get by.
Yeah.
Okay. When you're Lucas, there comes a point where you have to say to Kathleen Kennedy, you have to say to Disney, look, I got to be honest. I got enough money. I don't need your money.
Yeah.
What I
Well,
want to see though is I want to see this done right.
yeah. I think the reason he sold, I listened to this interview with the guy who worked with him. I think the reason he sold was after his plan was, I'm gonna make the prequels and then I'm gonna do original shit that I've
Yeah.
never, I want to get back to like my experimental filmmaking.
Yeah.
And I think he felt that Star Wars is kind of a weight around his neck. Because if he owns Star Wars, like, here's my movie about, I don't know, I'm just making this up. I don't know. Here's my movie about tulips. Like,
Right.
where's episode 7? Where's Boba
Right.
Fett? So I think the reason he sold was, and I heard, and I don't know if this is true, I think he's been filming something in secret. That
Yeah.
he can now come out with like an experimental movie or like a weird movie, and no one's gonna be like, well, how come you're not making Ewoks? The
Right.
Ewok
It
movie?
could be like, well, I don't own it anymore. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
not
yeah,
mine.
yeah. I think that's the
Yeah.
reason he did that. But we'll see if he comes. Apparently, he's making something in secrecy. We'll see if he actually if that's true. Time will tell.
But see, but that's why I like what Favreau and Filoni have done with
Mhm.
with at least the series that they're doing.
Yeah,
Is they're like, look, we're gonna go back. We're gonna see what what they had in the movies. We're
Mhm.
gonna stay as consistent as we can with the timeline. We definitely gonna throw Easter eggs all over the place. We want the fans to see the Easter eggs. Like even when they brought back, I don't think this is a spoiler at this point. Mandalorian's been out forever.
Oh,
When
yeah,
Luke
Luke.
come, yeah, when Luke comes back at the end,
Oh,
like
that was
that
so great.
was, oh, I don't
That was
care
so
who
great.
you, right? As a Star Wars fan,
Mhm.
I was on the couch. I literally got off the couch. I was kneeling in front of the TV. I turned 9 years old
Yeah,
because I was like,
that he's
oh,
that was I was waiting and waiting in Last Jedi for that moment, and they never
yeah,
did it. And to see that moment on screen, um, it was the same thing. I loved it even when Timothy Elephant showed up with the Boba Fett armor in season
yes,
2. It was like he's out there somewhere. It was so great to see the
yeah,
armor. Yeah, I think Lucas probably could have kept on to it and just said to everyone, hey, I'm not doing anything with Star Wars. Filoni's gonna do it. Let Filoni
right.
bring in his guys. I'm gonna go make a movie about like frogs fucking. See you later. They're gonna do Star Wars.
See, now here's the interesting thing, and I've had conversations with people, and I don't know how I feel about this, but knowing how nerdy you are, you're as big as a nerd as I am.
Yeah.
Like you see the way like DC and the Marvel universe, like there's been like 19 Spider-Mans. There's
Yeah.
now everyone in Hollywood has been Batman. And someone asked me this question. I'm like, I don't know. How do you feel about like Filoni, Favreau, someone else coming in and saying, look, remember those last 3 episodes of Star Wars we did? Forget that. We're going to pick it up from where it really left off and do it anew.
I think that's gonna happen, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Because in order for those movies to hit, something's gotta happen to Baby Yoda. And I think they don't want anything to happen to Baby Yoda. I don't think it's gonna happen now.
Right.
I think it's gonna
No,
be
it's too soon.
Yeah, I think they're gonna do some weird time travel thing where somehow all those events get erased.
Yeah.
And when we do go, and we might, and look, I'm willing if they have to recast Luke, Leia, and Han, I'm fine with that at this point. And I think we are gonna pick up like maybe 10 years later, where like little Ben Solo, like we'll pick up when he's like right now I'd say what is Star Wars in the late 80s right now. I mean, I'm thinking like Mandalorian from Return of the Jedi.
Right.
Probably like in 89 or 1990. We're gonna pick up in the mid. I think that's gonna happen because I think they're gonna have to everything that's working is gonna have to go away for Force Awakens to happen. And I think they're gonna eventually realize we can't be restricted by these 3 films. Get rid of them.
Yeah. And people have asked me how I feel about it. I'm like, look, man, ultimately, if you want to retell the story, as long as it's done right, I can erase that. That's fine. Like people have said to me, same thing. If someone came back, and I know they're not going to do it, if someone went to, what's his name, R.R. Martin, George R.R. Martin, and said, hey, listen, we want to do season 7, 8, 9, 10 the right way.
By the way, I think when his books do come out, they're going to remake those seasons.
I hope so, because if, by the way, what the hell's he waiting for with these books, dude? You had 2 years of pandemic. What
I don't
are
know.
you busy doing?
I don't know. I hope he does a thing where I'm hoping he's finishing up both books, and he's going to be like, hey, they're both done. This one comes out this year. Next Christmas, you get the other one.
Because then you know what? Then I'll download the audiobooks and I'll have at least my closure. With the books and be like, screw the TV show. And then if someone came along later and been like, you know what, we're gonna do 7, 8, 9, 10, because he said it was 4 more seasons. We're gonna do 7, 8, 9, 10 as movies or whatever. Forget about what you saw. I'm like, I'm in.
Yeah, I'm in. And I think they will do that. I think they will do that. And I think people will they'll, because they want people to buy HBO Max. HBO Max subscriptions will go through the roof once they do that. I think they're just waiting on him. They might have even said to him, hold off on the books because we want the bad taste to get out of people's mouths.
I think so.
Before we say we're going to redo this. Because if they did this now, it's only been 2-3 years. People might be like, this is a cash grab. I think you need to wait a little bit. Yeah.
I think he also saw the reaction to the ending. And I think a part of him is, well, that's the way it was supposed to end, but you had to actually develop the characters to get to that place. I think now people are so pissed off at the ending that maybe he's like, shit, you know what? I can't put Bran in the throne now. You know, I just can't do it. I got to figure out a way.
I also think he can't have Jon Snow. Honestly, I think the ending should be that Jon Snow and Daenerys get married and usher in like a new era of peace. That's what, because it's called A Song of Fire and Ice. So it's fire and ice coming together, and like,
dude, you set up this relationship for forget about the show. You set this up for 6 books.
Yeah,
this is all I've heard.
These
for
2
6
people
books.
are like struggling. One in the snow.
R plus J equals L, and all of this stuff that you've set up. You know, you've set up this whole Targaryen line.
Into a crazy bitch.
Yeah. So, but anyway, I know we keep going back to Thrones, but yeah, for Star Wars, I'm on the fence. But if you came back with 3 good movies where you played the folklore the right way, I could forget about these 3 movies.
Yeah, I think.
And I don't like doing
the good thing about Spider-Man No Way Home is the rules are out the window. So in other words, like they could say, hey, you know, we're starting a new Star Wars timeline. But then you could have whoever's playing Luke now meet Mark Hamill 5 years from now, jump through a portal. Because now audiences I think people are always like, they're not going to accept like this, like time travel or erasing this. But now people do. People really do. I mean, nobody, if you pitched No Way Home 5 years ago, audience are going to be confused. That's too many Spider-Men. Not a single person was confused. And that is a very comic booky, very sci-fi. Like, there's all these realities, movies, and everyone, to the dumbest person, got it. You know?
Right. Yeah. So, they would have to do it in a way where it wouldn't be so offensive to the Star Wars audience. And I think the key is where you pick it up.
Yeah.
From Return of the Jedi.
I think something is going to happen with Baby Yoda where it erases the events of 7, 8, 9. I don't know when, but I think it's coming.
I think, and it would be funny if the Disney Plus TV series actually wind up saving the movies by doing that.
Because they're already adding another Obi-Wan Vader fight. And I'm like, how does that make any sense? That they fought, like, either he's got to leave Tatooine and leave Luke vulnerable, or Darth Vader's got to come to Tatooine and not check in on Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru and not sense Luke. Like, how the fuck would that happen?
Especially with Rogue One.
Yeah, Rogue One, and the fact that, like, in New Hope, these robots that there's so I already think they're already changing the timeline a little bit, because they're like, hey, we want to have another Obi-Wan Darth Vader fight. We'll just fucking change shit around. Like, who cares?
Right.
I already think they're doing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think. Are you excited for Obi-Wan? I am, and I'm also a little nervous.
Same thing. Mm-hmm. Same thing. I'm excited and nervous. I'm excited because, on the one hand, I love what they're doing with these series. Even with Boba Fett being meh, I just like what they're doing with them.
Yeah,
I like the story. I like that they're getting into these stories, and they're sticking with the feel.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that I'm worried about is just what you said. When you put him on Tatooine and to live as a hermit, oh shit! What am I going to watch this guy do? Live in a cave for 2 seasons?
I can see like almost like an Unforgiven style Western with him. But once you bring in Darth Vader,
now you're like with stuff.
Now it's getting weird, because I just thought he sat there. He sat on Tatooine for 20 years.
Well, Yoda said we're going into hiding.
Yeah, and now Darth Vader. So Darth Vader and him see each other. Like, that to me is like a little weird.
Yeah. So my whole thing is, look, if you're gonna do that and you're gonna put him in hiding, and you're gonna have him somehow still kind of work behind the scenes to help, the rebels.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay. I get that. Where he's not completely out of the mix, but if he starts kind of leaving Tatooine and coming back, and it's like, no, dude. And if he runs into Vader, it's like, all right, Vader doesn't know he's got kids, but at the same time, I don't know. I don't know if I feel that. You're going to have to write that really well.
The rumor I heard is someone finds out Lea's Vader's daughter, kidnaps Leia as a kid.
No, you can't do that.
And Obi-Wan's got to get to this guy before he gets to Vader. That's the story I hear. But I don't even know how that's going to work. Again, there's so many close calls. And literally, for this to work, Vader has to be a complete idiot for this to work. Like,
and there's got to be like no internet.
Yeah. I just go, like his radio, like the guy who kidnaps Leia just can't get his radio to work.
That's the thing that kills me about all these movies, is they have this amazing technology, but yet in Rogue One, they're like using a floppy disk to load and it's literally like it's like a dial-up modem. I'm like, really? You guys can't save that any faster? You couldn't email that file? You literally had to download it to a disk. And even in the movie we're talking about, The Force Awakens, you literally needed to put it in a USB port. You guys don't have email. You have no email in this galaxy.
No email. No, yeah.
Oh man,
Vince, this was great. I'm so glad I took you for this.
I miss you, brother. I really
miss
do.
You. Where can people find you on social media? They want to find you.
At Vince August. Instagram is always fun. YouTube, I'm really terrible about doing videos on YouTube. I'm sorry, I don't do it to anyone looking for me. I do my best. Really Instagram and YouTube. Facebook is it's dead. I hate Twitter. I hate Twitter. I hate Twitter. I hate Twitter. Hell is you die, you go to a cyber cafe, and you've got to be on Twitter 24 hours a day.
Yes.
That's that's hell to me. So those two places. I do want to tell anyone that's watching this, during the pandemic, when everything went sideways, Ray Goots set up a comedy club in his backyard to get comics work.
Yeah.
And I can't express to you enough how important that was, how big that was.
Oh, thank you.
For you to put yourself out like that. I think that was one of the most incredible things anybody did. Forget about club owners.
Yeah.
Club owners weren't doing that. And you went and did that. And I want everyone to know just how great that was that you did that, and for inviting me. And I will never forget that. So you're really a champion for comedians and all of this stuff. And I really appreciate you, Ray.
Thank you, man. That means a lot to me because sometimes like I just kind of feel like, I kind of feel like sometimes I go to some comics. I've been around this for a long time. I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And I really thank you so much. That makes me feel, yeah, it was so great. Like, it was just so great to like I remember Beth came by, my friend Beth, and we're in my kitchen and Mike Vecchione is on stage killing it.
Yeah.
And I go, can you believe this is real life? And she was like, I would never imagine this in a million years, that Mike Vecchione standing by your aunt's garage.
Yeah. and it
doing
was
his Tonight Show stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And the night I went there, it was freezing cold. You set up a fire pit and your backyard is packed and you strung up lights. It was incredible. It was really incredible. And, I say to people all the time, if anyone should have ever run a club, it should have been you, because with the way you fought for comedians and you always did the right thing by comics, and you're really somebody who's important to this business. And I appreciate you so much, Ray.
Thank you so much, Vince. That means a lot. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm glad I'm more respected than Snook or Snooki.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No, you crushed the Star Wars trilogies.
Thank you, man. Guys, if you like this
Ray.
podcast, please subscribe to us on Apple Podcast. I'm so bad. Apple Podcast, and follow me, Ray Guth, and follow the podcast. Vince, thank you so much for being on the show, man. This was a great episode.
You, Ray.
Thank you. And guys,
it,
we will see you next week. But do you know James Camacho?
Yes.
Oh, he will be here to talk Rogue One. So
nice.
Yeah, we'll see you then.